I have a country which has a per capita income of $2,000. These are not people who can afford higher energy prices. It is my obligation, my moral duty to actually ensure that I get them the best deal that I can from the world. And I think once you lay it out very openly and honestly, I think people accept it. They may not always appreciate it, but once you have it is there, and you're not trying to be too clever about it. You actually have laid out your interests in a very direct manner. My sense is that the world accepts that as a kind of reality, and that is what will happen out here. And I can tell you, as someone who deals very intensively with the United States, I do see that not just in the United States, but including in the US, that they know what our position is, and they move on with that.
Freedom House put out a report which demoted India's freedom score from free to partly free, saying rights and civil liberties have been eroding since Prime Minister Modi came to power. The 5th annual democracy report by Sweden's VDEM Institute downgraded India from India's largest democracy to being an electoral autocracy. How do you see this play itself out in the context of how India is being perceived by the world, and these new reports which seem to say that at least these institutions are now taking a negative view of what's happening in our country?
You use the dichotomy of democracy and autocracy. You want the truthful answer? It's hypocrisy. Okay? It's hypocrisy because you have a set of self-appointed custodians of the world who find it very difficult to stomach that somebody in India is not looking for their approval, is not willing to play the game they want it to be played.
Why not condemn Russia's invasion? Wouldn't this best reflect India's foreign policy goals and international standing? And what is the leverage that the Indian government has to persuade Vladimir Putin that the carnage that we are seeing every day simply must not stop, that it's not helping the Ukrainian people, and that it's not helping the Russian people?
I noticed you refer to oil purchases. If you are looking at energy purchases from Russia, I would suggest that your attention should be focused on Europe, which probably we do buy some energy which is necessary for our energy security. But I suspect, looking at the figures, probably our total purchases for the month would be less than what Europe does in an afternoon. So you might want to think about it.
Our PhD student Shubham has said that we need to buy oil from Gulf as India. We are dependent on Russia for weapons, and our largest community is in the USA, and they're fighting among themselves. Right? How do you deal with that? Right? How do you, as a diplomat, deal with that?
The clarity of that analysis is astounding. I'd like to recruit that person in the foreign ministry. But joking apart, look, that is what our business is, which is, in a way, you have multiple interests, multiple sources, often contradictory, sometimes conflicting. And how do you actually manage different accounts and different relationships with the best possible outcome? I mean, that is the essence of really of what diplomacy is. And since it was put so sharply and graphically, I can say it is not always very easy, which is why it takes many of us so many years to sort of get to grips with it. But that is the state of the world, and I would say there are countries which made much more clean-cut choices, who have very clearly, let us say, joined an alliance, signed a treaty, taken clear sides. For them, some of these dilemmas or the complexity of those dilemmas are less. In our case, because a country of our size necessarily, to my view, has to choose an independent path. We will, we have taken, it's very interesting, we have taken the most complex route domestically, we have taken the most complex route internationally. But I think we have it is within us to actually realize both. So the shortest path or the easiest path is not always the best path. I think we ought to take what is the most natural path to depending on our DNA or our makeup. And domestically, I cannot conceive that we could have taken any path other than democracy. Just like I cannot conceive abroad that we could have taken any path other than having an independent posture, and it will come with those dilemmas. So if you watch me, pirouette around and, do this and do that and manage this and manage that, that's the exercise which comes with it.
Thank you, sir. So there are certain concerns.
And the question is simple. If and when the choice comes down to it, not today, not tomorrow, but in the future, and she strongly believes it will, for India, will it become, in terms of support, the US or China? And that will be kind of a defining moment that comes out of the situation that we face with Russia right now.
Look, number one, why I wanted to interrupt you in a way. I mean, I'm partly reacting to the previous observation. Somewhere Europe has to grow out of the mindset that Europe's problems are the world's problems, but the world's problems are not Europe's problems. That if it is you, it's yours. If it is me, it's ours. I think that's something, and I see, reflections of that. Again, in terms of, there is a linkage today which is being made. A linkage between China and India and what's happening in Ukraine. So come on, guys. I mean, China and India happened way before anything happened in Ukraine. So the Chinese don't need a precedent somewhere else in the world on how to, engage us or not engage us, or be difficult with us or not be difficult with us. So as I said, I just see this as frankly a not very clever argument, a very self-serving one. This idea that, your grand strategy must be about how you will choose. I will do what, as all of us do. I will weigh the situation, everybody, after all, how do countries eventually make decisions?
Mr. Jaishankar, there will always be two axes at this point. I think it's an understood, accepted fact that you have the West, US-led, you have China as the next potential axis. Where does India fit into this? Are you planning to not take a side?
No, I'm sorry. That is exactly where I disagree with you. This is the construct you are trying to impose on me, and I don't accept it. I don't think it's necessary for me to join this axis or not, and if I'm not joining this, I must be with the other one. I don't accept that.